You've spelunked into the Matt Cave. Yes, indeed, it is the Matt Cave podcast, and you've spelunked on by. Thank you all for coming. I appreciate each and every one of you. This is the Matt Cave podcast, in case you didn't know. My name, Matt, obviously, and this week it's the summer. And since we don't have a baseball team here in Utah, I mean, we do. We have the Bees, but they're the AAA affiliate of the Angels, who aren't very good without Mike Trout being healthy. It's just not worth really talking about them, you know? So we're going to talk about Real Salt Lake, and then we're also going to talk about one of the main contributors to BYU's surprising men's basketball debutante season leaving the program. And then I'll also talk about just how many transfers there were, or departures, I guess you could say, within the Division I men's basketball landscape as a whole. And then, you know, usually summer in my youth was saved for the blockbuster movies, right? You would go to the movie and have an event, Independence Day, you know, stuff like that. You did this huge movie. Well, that has kind of turned to video games. So I'll talk about the video games that I'm looking forward to that are coming out this summer, and hopefully they are ones that you are looking forward to as well. But, as always, hit me up on those socials. Facebook, it is the Matt Cave Podcast. You'll find my page. You can interact with me there. Also on X or Twitter, it is at the Matt Cave Pod. And you can email me if you don't want to be in the public eye at themattcavepod@gmail.com. And also, I will begin streaming again this coming, Tuesday afternoon? I will be returning to streaming with the launch of Destiny 2, The Final Shape, which is the final expansion of Destiny 2. And so I hope to see some of you just pop on by and say hello. So you can find me on YouTube as well. Just search up the Matt Cave Podcast, all one word, and you'll find my YouTube channel. All right, so let's dive into it with Real Salt Lake just absolutely dismantling Austin FC 5-1. And that one for Austin did not come until extra time in the second half. Christian Arango and Anderson Julio are your two goal scorers for Real Salt Lake, which has kind of been the case all year, really. I mean, Christian Arango, obviously. With this game, with this hat trick, this is his second hat trick of the season. It also puts him ahead of Lionel Messi and Luis Suarez of Inter Miami, leading the league in goals scored with 13. Yeah, Christian Arango is the real deal, and if he continues this sort of role, it'll be a very tough sell to us here in Utah for him to not get the MVP. Because without Christian Arango, Real Salt Lake is a bottom-tier team in MLS, and you can't really dispute that fact. So, let's talk about this game. Real Salt Lake was playing a high press, which is when your forwards are way up the pitch or the field and pressuring the defenders and the goalkeeper when they get possession, trying to cause havoc and turnovers so you can get a quick switch in possession and your attackers can get the ball quickly. There's no build-up play, and you can cause chaos. I really like this style of play. It's what Arsenal plays in the Premier League, and it's also been popularized in the Netherlands, and it's a very fun and exciting way to play the game. And with the front three that Real Salt Lake has, with Anderson Julio, Christian Arango, and Diego Luna up there pressuring people, it's very, very, very good. And then Arango also drops back towards midfield to kind of get the ball rolling, you could say, to get momentum moving forward. And no better way did he do that than in the 16th minute from his own half. So there's the midfield line. He was behind that towards Real Salt Lake's goal. 62 yards into the goal. Yes, it's one of the reasons why MLS is not taken very seriously, because this has happened to Zach McMath, and it seems to happen once a week in MLS in one game or another. I don't understand it. I don't know why goalies play so far up. It's disrespectful, and it's kind of... I never even saw that when I played soccer, and I only played soccer with the AYSO, the American Youth Soccer Organization, 20 some odd years ago. I didn't even see it there. The coaches always had the goalies play back. So I don't understand it. It's because of the popularization in the European leagues where they want their goalies to kind of be the point guard, get everything started so they're further up to be more of an option for their guys to pass it back to them. But in this instance, Austin FC didn't even have the ball. Real Salt Lake was playing it up from the back, and Christian Arango saw an opportunity and took advantage of it. And it's something, like I said, it happened to Zach McMath, and it's happened to other goalkeepers in the league, which is why it's not taken very seriously in the world. If you watch a couple of fan interviews that they do outside of the Real Madrid Stadium, the Bernabeu of FC Barcelona, outside the Emirates in England, they call MLS the retirement league, and I can't really debate that fact. Because Thierry Henry came here to retire David Beckham, Lionel Messi now. Other European stars are doing it. Hugo Lloris, the French goalkeeper, and so many others are starting to do it. Marco Reus, who was with Borussia Dortmund in the UEFA Champions League final. A very talented German midfielder who is 35 and coming to MLS. So it's really tough to sell this league worldwide when stuff like this happens. You don't see this happening in Liga MX, which is the Mexican league. And it's very just not... It's fun when it happens for your team. It's embarrassing when it happens against your team. And as a neutral observer in those other games, it's embarrassing. Saying, yeah, well, I'm an American, that's my league. So, but it was a really awesome goal. Great awareness from Chicho on that one. He scored another one and a penalty, which was called back, which was a very hectic sequence of events. So it was a corner for Real Salt Lake. It got knocked out of Austin FC's box, and then Austin FC went on a breakaway, for all you hockey fans, there you go, and they scored a goal. But it was after VAR, which are three very dirty words in Europe, or letters rather, in Europe, it was called back due to a handball during the corner. So not only did Austin lose a goal, they also gave one up on a penalty because of a handball. And it was a handball. The guy's arm was way out. So he scored a penalty from there. He also scored a cleanup from an Anderson Julio shot. And then the two goals from Anderson Julio in the first half. Just wonderful sequence, run of play stuff. He is so fast. And he is so electric. It's so much fun to watch. And then the Austin FC goal was on a penalty in extra time. It was a penalty, Real Salt Lake fans. The Real Salt Lake defender basically body-checked the Austin FC player in the box. It's not hockey season in Utah yet. So, there you go. So that's the recap of the game. Overall, what this does for Real Salt Lake. So, MLS is, Real Salt Lake, which is what we care about here, is off for the next week and a half due to international break and other things going on. So it puts Real Salt Lake in first place in the West, 3 points clear of LAFC, who are in advanced talks of getting another European star in Marco Reus. He's also considering a move to LA Galaxy, which would put 3 on LAFC, so they would be Inter Miami West. Whatever. So three points clear of them. LAFC is playing today as of me recording this, so we'll see if they'll be moved up. But LAFC would have to win by 8 goals to even tie Real Salt Lake, which is nuts. So, overall, Real Salt Lake is only 2 points behind Inter Miami for the lead in the league for the best team. And they have now, with this 5-1 win, surpassed Inter Miami in goal differential. So, Real Salt Lake is top in the league in goal differential. That's never happened. I know I keep harping on this, Spelunkers, but this has never happened for Real Salt Lake. In Real Salt Lake's heyday, in the late aughts and early 10s, Real Salt Lake was a defensive-minded team. It was almost a park the bus in front of the goal and then launch it down the field and hope one of your guys is on the other end. That's how Real Salt Lake used to play. It was not very fun to watch, but it worked. They won the cup. This is a totally different monster that Pablo Mastroeni and the front office of Real Salt Lake have created out of the ashes of what happened a few years ago. And I'm loving it. Hopefully, when other clubs come and want to purchase these guys, they can get them on just a huge transfer fee, reinvest that into the youth academy, which has been outstanding for Real Salt Lake. Guys like Diego Luna, Fidel Barajas, two young stars. Justin Glad came from the Real Salt Lake Academy. So it's all exciting for Real Salt Lake right now. This is fantastic. Hopefully they can keep Arango through this transfer window. I don't see why they wouldn't be able to. He seems to be loving it here, loving that he is performing better than one of the greatest soccer players of all time. And it's just so much fun. It's a great environment at the Riot. I'm never going to call it what it's called now. It's the Riot to me. And just enjoy it. If you can get out there and enjoy a game, do it. Real Salt Lake is unbeaten in 13 straight games. Now, that's not a 13-game winning streak, but it's 13 games without a loss. That's the best in the league. It's the best in the league. Real Salt Lake has less losses than everybody in MLS except for Columbus Crew. And Columbus Crew, to give you an idea, have played 3 less games than Real Salt Lake. This is unprecedented, and it's so awesome. Ryan Smith was on hand for this most recent game with Lauri Markkanen, trying to keep the star happy, I guess. And it's cool to see a Jazz player stay in Utah during the offseason. By no means do they have to, but it's awesome to see it. Colin Sexton is still in Utah as well. He's running basketball clinics around the state. So is Walker Kessler. I like that. Ryan Smith is doing a good job. Because in the past, with guys like Darren Williams, Carlos Boozer, like they would be here for about a month and then they would jet off. And I don't blame them at all. But that's just how it was. But now, Ryan Smith is starting to build something different than what the Larry H. Miller group did. And I like that. All right, so that's enough about me gushing about Real Salt Lake. I think this team is for real. But like I said last week, they need a better goalkeeper. Zach McMath let one through on that breakaway that was called back that he should have saved, because the guy literally just kicked it over his shoulder. And it's like, you got to have your hands up, man. So a better goalkeeper would probably seal the deal for Real Salt Lake to go through to the MLS Cup final, probably where Inter Miami or FC Cincinnati will be waiting for them. Okay, let's move it on. BYU basketball news. Sorry, Utah basketball fans, Utah State basketball fans. It's not as exciting with you guys as it is for BYU right now. So, last week was a lot of good news, right? 2 of the best recruits ever signing on for BYU, and another one coming in from Russia. Awesome stuff there. But Jackson Robinson did, before the deadline, pull his name out of the NBA draft, but he is following Mark Pope to Kentucky. And BYU fans have got to be the most childish fans I've ever seen. And this is coming from somebody who was a Philadelphia Eagles fan for most of my life. They're mocking him. They're saying he's not loyal. He's a mercenary. Newsflash. Everybody in college athletics is a mercenary. Every single person. There is no such thing as loyalty in college sports, just like there's no such thing as loyalty in professional sports. You go where you can play. You go to where you think you will get the best chance to win. And that's what's happening with Jackson Robinson. He had a breakout season with Coach Mark Pope. If you can follow him, you're going to follow him. And Kentucky had a roster spot available. That's where Jackson Robinson went. I thank you for the season that he gave BYU. Like, seriously, thank you, Jackson. That was an amazing season. It was so much fun. You are instant offense, and I hope you find all the success in the world at Kentucky. I hope you improve your draft stock, and I hope you can go in the lottery next year. See, that's how you're supposed to respond to this stuff. Not make fun of him, not call him a mercenary, a turncoat, not doing any of that. I'm tired of seeing that. BYU fans need to grow up. They do. Utah fans didn't pull this stuff when Kiba Kita transferred from Utah to BYU. Mostly the stuff I saw was either like a yawn, whatever, or, thanks for playing, good luck. That's mostly what I saw. Obviously, there are going to be those fans that are like the BYU fans where it's like, oh, you're a turncoat, blah, blah, blah. Nah, I didn't see that with Kiba Kita. So, thank you, Jackson, for the season. It was awesome. So much fun. You're a really talented player, and I hope you find all the success in the world in Kentucky with Coach Mark Pope, who I also hope has all of the success in the world because that only sheds good light on BYU. If you go from BYU to a blue blood program and succeed, that means BYU is a breeding ground for success, which is what you want. That means you'll get more talented assistant coaches signing on to coach, better recruiters, more talented players. Like, it's just good when they leave. So, all right. I've said my piece there. Time to grow up. But really interesting stat from this past offseason for Division I men's basketball. When you combine transfers, graduations, and declaring for the NBA draft and remaining in it, over 2,000 young men have experienced a major shift in their lives. 2,000. I love that. It makes my job harder, but I don't care. It makes it also more interesting because it gives me something to talk about. And so seeing this many young men taking advantage of a system that was formerly broken and trying to do something with their lives, that excites me. I don't understand why it doesn't excite everybody else too. Okay, your star player left. Go, develop the next one. Get the next one from the transfer portal. It's not the end of the world. And this is so exciting. I love it. Keep it coming. The NCAA is going to introduce a new rule where the transfer window is only going to be for 30 days. Whether I agree with that or not, we'll have to see, because I don't want to say it's bad. I don't want to say it's good, because the transfer portal is the Wild West right now. And so the NCAA is trying to do what the NCAA has always done, which is take control away from the players. And then, surprisingly, Congress is on the side of the players in the free market. So this is fun. I want to see what happens. And the traditional blue blood structure is being challenged, right? Kentucky out in the first round the past few years. John Calipari was the king of one and done in transfer portal. And it hasn't gotten him anything since like 2012, I believe, is when he went to the Final Four the last time. Tom Izzo in Michigan State hates it. He does not like the transfer portal. Mike Krzyzewski in Duke didn't like it. Nick Saban doesn't like it. And that only preaches more to me that it's a good thing. Because you're taking power away from these demagogues and giving it to the people that actually deserve it. And these multi-million mega contracts that these coaches are getting, a lot of that money should be shifted towards the players, because the players are the ones people go to see. I'm not going to LaVell Edwards Stadium to watch Kalani Sitake. Sorry. Kalani Sitake is a very entertaining coach, but I'm going for the guys on the field, Jerry Bohannon, all of those guys, Tyler Batty. I'm not going to Rice-Eccles Stadium to watch Coach Kyle Whittingham patrol up and down the sideline. Again, another entertaining coach. That scowl sends shivers down my spine, and I'm sitting in the stands. I'm there to watch Cam Rising and Brant Keithy and that defense. It's the same thing, right? So these kids deserve the money. They always have, and now they're finally starting to get a piece of the pie, and it should only grow. And I saw that post, I believe it was on Reddit, where it's like, I'm not going to the game to watch, I think it was a Michigan State fan. He said, I've been a Michigan State fan my entire life, and I'm not going to these games to watch Tom Izzo sit on the bench. And that just kind of clicked with me. That hit a light bulb. It was like, yeah, that's right. I'm not there to see, the head coach prowling the sidelines. I'm there to go see the kids. And those kids deserve something. And they're finally getting it. And the suits are panicking when they get these billion-dollar contracts. Like the SEC, I believe, has a $2 billion contract with ESPN for them to broadcast football and basketball. Yeah. The players deserve most of that. Do they see any of it? No. With this latest ruling from the House, I believe, the House of Representatives, there's a $20 million stipend for all universities to spread out for all of their student athletes, which is another term that needs to go away. $20 million for everybody. Obviously, the lion's share of that is going to be going to the money-generating sports, which would be football, men's basketball, and now women's basketball, which is well-deserved. But everybody else, like soccer and then the Olympic sports, are going to see a very minimal fraction of that. which is another failure of these mega corporations not broadcasting it correctly. Like, if I were an executive at one of these broadcasting companies, tangent time from Matt, get ready, buckle up. If I were an executive at, let's just say, Disney, and I'm overseeing ESPN, I'm changing this structure that they have, where it's ESPN, ESPN2, and then they have ABC for like nationally prominent things. Like yesterday, it was the Stanley Cup Eastern Conference Finals. I'm changing that structure. I'm changing it to where ESPN has your college football, your NBA basketball, but then ESPN2 is going to have WNBA, and the Olympic sports along with F1. And then if there's a third channel, I'm dedicating that entirely to soccer. Because soccer is the growing interest for a lot of American sports fans now. If you don't believe me, you can just go look. I'm not even going to tell you these stats. I want you to look it up, Splunkers. Look up how many people, the viewing numbers for the English Premier League on Peacock. And those numbers are going to make your eyebrows raise. So, that's what I would do. It's just the way it's set up right now is so old-fashioned and not forward-looking or forward-thinking. And it's just a bunch of old suits trying to save themselves from nothing. So that's how I would do it. But this goes all the way back to Jackson Robinson in the transfer portal. Good luck, Jackson, at Kentucky. I wish you all the best. I hope you star and ball out there and become a lottery pick. And who knows, maybe the Jazz will draft you. You know, that'd be sweet karmic justice for BYU fans. All right, so let's move it on to the summer ahead for video games. First off the bat, we have coming out this coming Tuesday, Destiny 2: The Final Shape. I'm excited for this because I've been playing Destiny for I don't even know how long. 10 years almost? 9 years? Goodness gracious. Yeah, 2024 came out. 8 years because it came out in 2016. So, yes, I've been playing it ever since then. One of my most played games of all time. It's up there with World of Warcraft and Pokemon. Love it to death. The Final Shape is very exciting because what Bungie is doing with this is they are unvaulting weapons. So if you're like me and you held on to a couple of your favorite weapons that were rotated out, I guess you could say, or removed from the game, those are coming back to be able to use. So my two favorite weapons for the longest time were a bow called Hush. Sorry for going into the weeds here, everybody, but I'm very excited about this. A bow called Hush that you got from Gambit, and an auto rifle you also got from Gambit called Breakneck. Neither of them are exotics. They're legendaries, and they're two of my favorite weapons in the game. And from everything that I've read and heard, I will be able to use them again when the Final Shape comes out. I'm so stoked for that. Another thing they're doing is they're unlocking something called the Prismatic class, which is where you can kind of mix and match from the other specs. Solar Void, Arc, Stasis, and Strand. Look at me. Off the top of my head, I remembered all of them. So you can pick and choose your favorite things and create a class with the Prismatic class, and that's exciting as well. Like you want a Nova Bomb from the Void if you're from the Void class, but you also like the stuff that comes with Arc, like the Rift summoning an Arc Soul that shoots with you. You can do that. I'm so excited. So June 4th, the Final Shape. I will be streaming. That's what's pulling me back into it. Drop by, say hello. All right, so that is the first that I'm super excited for coming out. Next, we have coming out at the beginning of, or actually, no, let's go to this one. Middle of the month, June 21st, Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree. So I remember when this was announced, and I said it on the show, that I'm not going to be getting it because I played my fair share of Elden Ring, and I don't think that this expansion will do anything. Well, I was wrong. I'm going to be getting it. And it's because I recently got back into playing Elden Ring a little bit, and I've been having a ball with it. Like, I've been looking forward to clocking out of work and just going to play Elden Ring. I haven't had a game like that in a while. So I will be getting this one as well. June 21st is when this launches for everything. PlayStation 5, Xbox XS, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. So that's awesome. Beginning of July, the day after the most important day of the year, my birthday, July 2nd, Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail. And so I don't normally talk about Final Fantasy XIV because, yes, I am a World of Warcraft stan, if you will. But Final Fantasy XIV is an amazing MMO. It really is. It has one of the best communities online. Very, very few toxic people, and those people get rooted out. And so this one, the reason why I'm a little bit more excited for this one than I have been for other expansions is because this is more lighthearted. The director of the game said the last few have been super serious. So this one's going to be a little bit more lighthearted. And it's based off of Final Fantasy IX's, I don't want to say world, but sort of like aesthetic. And that's my favorite Final Fantasy. Hands down, bar none, favorite Final Fantasy is Final Fantasy IX. It's the first one I ever beat. That's awesome. I'm definitely getting this one too. July 2nd is when this comes out for everything. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 4, and PC. It's also coming to Game Pass if you have that. So that's 3. Obviously, I talked about it this last week. EA Sports College Football 25 coming out July 19th. They recently, this past week, released a video of how the gameplay is going to be. And when they said gameplay, they meant on-the-field stuff. So the wear and tear stuff, crowd noise, stadium atmosphere, the difference between a freshman quarterback and a senior quarterback, and how the crowd noise affects that. Awesome stuff. Really great advancements. And one thing that they are very focused on pointing out is that they've been building this game from the ground up. They haven't been able to build this on top of anything because they completely shut down the NCAA series after NCAA Football 14 out of fear of lawsuits from name, image, and likeness. So that's really, really, really exciting for me. Frostpunk 2, if you like real-time strategy games, this is about humanity trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic frozen world, and you are the governor of this group of people trying to survive in the cold. If you don't do a good job, you get kicked out, and it's game over. So that's a really fun real-time strategy game that's coming out in July. And then in August, Madden, yes, I'll be getting it because I'm a sucker. But Madden comes out August 16th, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC. A little surprising that's coming out on PC at launch. Usually that's been delayed in the past. And then Star Wars Outlaws. Keep an eye out on this one. This is a very interesting experiment that the Star Wars universe is doing. It's an open world RPG. And so if you remember Knights of the Old Republic at all, it's not going to be like that. Because while that was linear, you did have options to go to different planets at different times. Star Wars Outlaws is going to be completely open world, and you're just going to be thrown in the middle of it. I'll be getting that one as well, but my hopes are not very high for this one. This one's coming out August 30th, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series XS, and PC. So, for the summer, there is a lot of games. Let's start from the top just to give you a reminder. First, Destiny 2, The Final Shape, June 4th, my return to streaming on that one. Second, Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, June 21st. Third, Final Fantasy XIV Dawn Trail expansion, July 2nd. And then after that, EA Sports College Football 25, July 19th. Frostpunk 2, July 25th. Then we have Star Wars Outlaws, August 30th. And my annual disappointment, Madden 25 on August 16th. So that's 7 games this summer alone. So while the movie market might not be the best, if you look at Memorial Day, it's the worst Memorial Day I think they've ever had. Video games have got your back. And you get more entertainment out of video games than you do a movie. Don't make me get the GameStop salesman out on you. I'll do it. I'll do it. You're listening to a guy who could talk skiers out of buying a season pass and instead purchasing a new Xbox or PlayStation. I did that every year. So don't make me do it to you. All right, thank you guys so much for listening this week. That is the episode. I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, I am returning to streaming on YouTube. That is searching the Matt Cave Podcast, all one word, and you'll find me. I'll also share the link on my Facebook, which is the Matt Cave Podcast, as well as on my X account, which is the Matt Cave Pod. I hope to see some of you there just to pop in and say hello. And then I will see you all next week if I don't see you there, which will be fine, when we spelunk back into the Matt Cave.